Good evening. Welcome to the National News Broadcast. I'm Kasani Balachandra.
And I am Thilina Udayaratna. We begin with a look at the headlines for tonight. Inter-provincial movement will be restricted from midnight today. New ward complexes built for COVID-19 patients declared open. A new digital ID introduced to increase the efficiency of the immunization program. A presidential task force to create a green economy.
Moving on to those and other stories in detail. The Samata Samasithin National Initiative to supply COVID-19 treatment facilities is continuously in progress. The initiative, implemented in accordance to a concept of the founder of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Basil Rajapaksa, has taken steps to further expand facilities of the hospitals dedicated for COVID-19 treatments. The construction of temporary ward complexes is currently at the final stages. These temporary wards are being constructed in base hospitals in Watupitiwala, Minuwangoda, Kahawatha, Meerigama and Panathura, Dambadeniya General Hospital, Nagoda Hospital, Ambalangoda, Koskama, Pimpura, Navagamuwa and Mathura Kottawala District Hospitals, as well as Mulleriyawa Teaching Hospital. Basic facilities including 50 beds, mosquito nets and bed sheets will also be provided for the newly built wards. The constructions and equipment will be provided utilizing funds allocated from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Fund donations from the general public without utilizing state funds. All relevant activities of the initiative are being carried out under the direct supervision of Head of the Presidential Task Force on Economic Revival and Poverty Alleviation, Basil Rajapaksa. The operational affairs of the initiative are being coordinated through Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Party Office. A new ward consisting 50 beds is currently being constructed at Dambadeniya Based Hospital. Chairman of the Kurunagala Development Committee, Parliamentarian Gunapala Ratnasekara, engaged in an observational tour at the construction site yesterday. A section of the Jamia Nalimia National College of Education in Kalutara is in the process of being transformed into a COVID-19 intermediate treatment center. The construction of the new center consists of 250 beds and is being carried out under the supervision of Peruwala Hospital. The new corona treatment ward in Minuwangoda Base Hospital will be vested with the public tomorrow. Mulleriyawa Hospital is expected to receive 2 new wards consisting of 500 beds under this initiative. The required number of beds will be provided through the Department of Government Factories. A COVID-19 treatment center consisting of 50 beds will be constructed at Dehiyattakandiya Base Hospital in Ampara. The new ward complex constructed at the COVID-19 treatment center in Poloatta Divisional Hospital in Ambalangoda will be vested with the public on the 13th of this month. A new ward equipped with facilities to provide treatments for 50 COVID patients is currently being constructed at Watupitiwala Base Hospital. A new ward with 58 beds constructed at Meerigama Base Hospital will be vested with the public tomorrow. The ward, which could accommodate up to 60 patients, constructed at the Koskama Divisional Hospital, will be declared open tomorrow morning.
And in COVID-19 news, restrictions imposed on the movement between all provinces will be effective from midnight today. Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, General Shavendra Silva, pointed out that the possibility to impose restrictions on the movement between districts considering the spread of the COVID-19 outbreak in the next couple of days can be imminent. Army Commander General Shavendra Silva highlighted that the possibility of imposing restrictions on the movement between districts will be considered after considering the spread of the disease and the methodologies of the outbreak in the next couple of days. Necessary restrictions on the district will be imposed after considering the spread of the disease within the province. He added that the expectation of the authorities is for the public to fulfill their requirements while limiting any and all gatherings.
බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ ජනතාව එක්රොක් නොවි එකට එක්රොක් නොවි තමුන් හැකිතාක් දුරට විශාල සංඛ්‍යාවක් එක්රොක් නොවි තමුන්ගේ අවශ්‍යතාවයන් බඩු බාහිර ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා නැවතීමට යාම ඒ වගේම
Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said that the restrictions for inter-provincial movement has been imposed in order to limit unnecessary movement and gatherings and restrict only for essential travel requirements. Essential services required for the day-to-day lives of the public will continue to function without any hindrance. Certain places, including shopping complexes and supermarkets, will be allowed to accommodate only 25% of the existing capacity. He further said that strict legal action will be taken on the public transportation services from tomorrow onwards. Accordingly, buses will be allowed to accommodate passengers only up to the available seating capacity. Police officers and drones will be utilized to monitor the movement and behavior of the public amidst the prevailing situation. He confirmed that no permits will be issued for inter-provincial movements.
ඒ වගේම පළාත් අතර සංචරණය සිදු කිරීම සඳහා දැනට තියෙන ක්‍රමවේදයන්ට අනුව බලපත්‍ර නිකුත් කිරීමක් සිදු කරන්නේ නැහැ.
පොල්ගහවෙල සිට
The Sri Lanka Transport Board has taken steps to limit inter-provincial bus services with the travel restrictions imposed for the movement between provinces. The Railways Department has said that the railways services will be restricted only within relevant provinces. Accordingly, the services on the main line within the Western Province will function between Ambepussa and Colombo Fort. The services on the coastal line will be limited between Aludgama and Mardana. Railway services are in place between Kochikade and Colombo Fort along the Putlam line. A total of 1,225 COVID-19 patients were detected today. 1,030 fully recovered patients have left hospitals today. 26 COVID-19 deaths were reported yesterday, some of the deaths having been reported from Gaul, Hettipola, Pallevela, Kandy, Matugama, Padukka, Nabada, Jaffna, Meegahagoda, Kalutara, Akurassa and Moronthurua areas. The other deaths have been reported from Anuradhapura, Colombo 6, Kaluwaggala, Morotua, Malvana, Borella, Colombo 15, Kandana, Maswela and Malambe areas. Meanwhile, a 3-month-old infant from Wattagama has also succumbed due to COVID-19 complications on the 9th. The Employees Provident Fund benefit payment units of the main office and the divisional offices of the Department of Labour will be closed on the 12th and 13th of May. Benefit payments of the Provident Fund will be carried out through various limitations from the 17th of this month. Accordingly, a prior appointment should be made before visiting the department premises. The government's attention has been directed on the establishment of an efficient monitoring mechanism to observe the entire COVID-19 prevention process in the country. The service of the medical graduates will be obtained for this purpose. A decision was reached at a meeting held at the Ministry of Health under the patronage of State Minister Dr. Sudarshini Fernandopulle to arrange a telephone operating system for this purpose.
Taking a look at the global situation of the COVID-19 pandemic, today is the 4th straight day that India has recorded less than 400,000 COVID-19 infections in the country. Meanwhile, India's top medical experts have expressed their concerns about a possible third wave of COVID-19. COVID-19 has killed more than 3.3 million people and infected nearly 159 million others globally. Indian medical experts have said that failure to vaccinate people in a considerable proportion while people not being responsible in following the health guidelines, COVID restrictions and norms could lead to the third wave. However, medical experts also state that it is difficult to predict on the severances of the third wave. India's daily coronavirus cases have risen nearly 330,000, while deaths from the disease have increased to more than 3,870 today. India's total coronavirus infections are at the edge of 23 million, while total fatalities rose to nearly 250,000. India leads the world in the daily average number of new deaths reported, accounting for 1 in every 3 deaths reported worldwide each day. Nations around the globe have sent oxygen cylinders and other medical gear to support India's crisis, as many hospitals around the nation are struggling with a shortage of the life-saving equipment. The coronavirus in Delhi have witnessed a dip in the last few days. Delhi government is gearing up for the third wave and is preparing to handle 30,000 COVID-19 cases per day. Meanwhile, believers across neighbouring India have been visiting cow shelters once a week to cover their bodies in cow dung and urine, hoping it will boost their immunity to recover from the coronavirus. Doctors have thoroughly warned against the practice of cow dung, saying that there is no scientific evidence for its effectiveness and that it risks spreading other diseases. It's been reported that around 100 bodies of suspected COVID-19 patients have washed up along the Ganges River today, triggering worries in several Indian villages as doctors voiced concerns about contagion. Medical experts have raised concerns over whether the coronavirus can be spread through contaminated water. Meanwhile, China is hoping to set up a COVID-19 separation line on the peak of Mount Kuomolangma to prevent the disease from being spread by climbers ascending the Nepali side of the mountain. The separation line is expected to be finished in midday before the climbers of the mountaineering season reach the mountain peak. Nepal is being reportedly battling a new and brutal wave of COVID-19 pandemic as the Nepal Prime Minister had appealed to the United Kingdom and other developed nations to urgently provide the country with essential medical items and vaccines to combat the pandemic. Nepal reported more than 9,100 new COVID-19 infections while reporting 139 fatalities, the highest single-day spike in the last 24 hours.
And in more COVID-19 news, the World Health Organization says that the coronavirus variant first identified in India last year was being classified as a variant of global concern. The organization has further indicated that several preliminary studies have confirmed the rapid and easy transmissibility of the variant compared with others. These remarks were shared during a news conference held in Geneva, Switzerland yesterday. The B.1.617 variant is the fourth of its kind to be designated as being of global concern and requiring heightened tracking and analysis. The others are those first detected in Britain, South Africa and Brazil. The WHO has said that the predominant lineage of the variant was first identified in India in December, although in earlier versions was spotted in October 2020.
In consultation with our virus evolution working group and our epi teams and our lab teams internally, there is some available information to suggest increased transmissibility of B.1.617. There is a preprint that is out, so this is a paper that has not undergone peer review, and it's on a limited number of patients, suggesting that there is some reduced neutralization, and as such we are classifying this as a variant of concern at the global level.
Meanwhile, studies are underway in India to examine the variant's transmissibility, the severity of the disease it causes, and the response of antibodies in people who have been vaccinated.
What we know now is that the vaccines work, the diagnostics work, the same treatments that are used for the regular virus work, so there's really no need to change any of those, and in fact people should go ahead and get whatever vaccine is available to them and that they're eligible for.
Globally, we're now seeing a plateau in the number of COVID-19 cases and deaths, with declines in most regions, including the Americas and Europe, the two worst affected regions. But it is an unacceptably high plateau, with more than 5.4 million reported cases and almost 90,000 deaths last week. We're still in a perilous situation. The shocking global disparity in access to vaccines remains one of the biggest risks to ending the pandemic. High and upper middle income countries represent 53% of the world's population, but have received 83% of the world's vaccines. By contrast, low and lower middle income countries account for 47% of the world's population, but have received just 17% of the world's vaccines.
The World Health Organization certified the safety, efficacy and manufacturing practices of China's Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine yesterday, following a comprehensive assessment of data and the completion of on-site inspections.
Sinopharm has received an emergency use listing by WHO on Friday after an extensive review by an external technical advisory group that looked at different data. We did site inspections in China in January and February. And so the good manufacturing practices, the Sinopharm is compliant, and we also assess the clinical data that's available for Sinopharm. And it was also considered suitable on efficacy and safety and good manufacturing practices.
And in more local stories, Minister Nama Rajapaksa says that a new digital identity card will be issued to improve the efficiency of the national COVID-19 immunization program. The new digitalized identity card consists of details including the issuance date of the vaccine, place, time and the type of vaccine, as well as the date to receive the second dose, time and place. The administration of the Sinopharm and Sputnik V vaccines and the second dose of Covishield vaccine under the COVID-19 immunization program was carried out in several places across the country today. The first dose of the Covishield vaccine has been administered to 925,242 persons, and the second dose of the vaccine has been administered to 211,518 until 8:30 p.m. yesterday. The first dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been administered to 23,575 and 17,541 persons have received the first dose yesterday. The second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine has been administered to 2,435 persons thus far. The first dose of the Sputnik V vaccine has been administered to 5,878 persons until yesterday. The residents in Ganguravila South and East have received the China-made Sinopharm vaccine today. The relevant program was organized by Sri Javadhanupura Kotte Municipal Council and the Office of the Nugekuda Medical Officer of Health. Accordingly, 1,000 residents received the vaccine under the program. Parliamentarian Major Pradeep Undugoda and District Secretary Pradeep Yasaratha visited the premises to observe the vaccination program. Inoculation of Sinopharm vaccine for the residents in Kindelpitiya West and Senapura in Bandaragama was carried out at the Kindelpitiya Sara Lankara Primary School today. The public in Kaluthura North and Totupula Gramanilatari divisions belonging to Kaluthura Medical Health Officers Division received the Sinopharm vaccine today. Accordingly, more than 1,000 persons were vaccinated during the campaign. The program to inoculate the China-produced Sinopharm vaccine was held in Bathurumulla Medical Health Officers Division today. Another immunization program to administer Sinopharm vaccine was held in the Pittakote Medical Health Officers Division. The program to administer Sinopharm vaccine under the guidance of the Office of the Homagama Medical Health Officer was held at the Homagama Vataraka Junior High School today. Another program to administer the Sinopharm vaccine for the residents in Western Province was held at the Hangwalla Mayadunna Mahavidyalaya today. Accordingly, more than 1,000 residents in Hangwalla town, Pahatagama, Valawatta, Jaiveeragoda and Lower Hangwalla Gramanilatari divisions received the vaccination. 2,000 persons in Bomiri area and Kaduwela Divisional Secretariat Division received the Sinopharm vaccine at the Office of the Kaduwela Medical Officer of Health. The vaccination of residents of Bathurumulla area was held at the Rajamalvatta Bauddha Mandira under the guidance of the Office of the Bathurumulla Medical Office of Health. More than 1,000 persons in Mugalan Road area in Kirlapana were vaccinated today. The vaccination of the residents in Valavat area was carried out at the Roxy Garden premises. The residents in Gotatua Medical Health Officers Division received the Sputnik V vaccine for the 6th straight day today. Accordingly, the vaccination campaign was held in 3 centres. The assistance of the Sri Lanka Army and Air Force was provided for the activities of the vaccination centres in order to conduct the vaccination program in an accelerated and efficient manner.
President's media spokesman Kingsley Ratnayaka issued a statement regarding the national immunization program yesterday. President's media spokesman Kingsley Ratnayaka said that Sri Lanka has received a total of 1.265 million doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine. Under the first phase of the COVID-19 vaccination drive, around 925,000 people were given the first jab of the vaccine, he added. However, the recent developments in India obstructed in getting down vaccines required for the second dose. The health authorities have pointed out that around 600,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine are required to complete the second dose of the vaccination. The government is currently in discussions with various parties to obtain the required AstraZeneca vaccine doses. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka received a donation of 600,000 doses of the Chinese Sinopharm vaccine. Accordingly, he said that the Sinopharm vaccination program commenced from the very next day of receiving approval, and the government is making arrangements to vaccinate 25,000 people per day in the Western Province under the first phase. He also said that negotiations held with the Chinese authorities to obtain 3 million doses of the Sinopharm vaccine have been successful, and the government has made plans to commence the vaccination programs in other provinces as well as soon as the vaccines are received. He further said that the government has decided to use Russia's Sputnik vaccine in the vaccination drive. Under the first phase, Sri Lanka received 15,000 doses of vaccines. Since the vaccination method of Sputnik is slightly different from the methods used for other vaccines, the healthcare sector commenced the vaccination from the Godatua area, adopting the new methodology. Under its second phase, 85,000 more Sputnik vaccines will be received as well. The President is confident that Sri Lanka will be able to successfully manage the current situation through the vaccination program.
The Accelerator Program to provide 10,000 hospital beds within 10 days for the treatment of COVID-19 patients is currently underway. The program is headed by Minister Nama Rajapaksa. Various institutions across the country have been entrusted with the duty to prepare the necessary beds. The activities related to the preparation of beds are being carried out at the Human Resource Development Centre and Mechanical Workshop of the Irrigation Department in Ratmalana. Minister Nama Rajapaksa inspected the production process at the premises this morning. State Ministers Anuradha Jayaratne and Indika Anuruddha were present at this occasion. The activities related to the preparation of these beds are also being carried out at the Department of State factory premises in Kolonava. Minister Nama Rajapaksa inspected the production process at the premises last evening. The relevant activities are headed by State Minister Indika Anuruddha. Hospital beds are also being prepared at the Orugodavat, the Automobile Engineering Training Institute premises. Minister Nama Rajapaksa also engaged in an observational tour at the premises and said that the process to prepare beds will be expedited within the next couple of days. Commercial Industries and Services Progressive Association of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority, affiliated to Sri Lanka Podujana Perubuna, has also contributed for the preparation of beds. The employees of the Ports Authority are expected to hand over 1,000 beds to health authorities in the next couple of days. Minister Rohita Abegunawardena inspected the production process today. Hospital beds are being prepared at the Mahayanganaya Orubendiwava Vocational Training Centre premises. State Minister Tenuka Vidanagamage engaged in an observational tour at the premises. Ekala Lakdev Engineers Association has also contributed for the preparation of hospital beds. All the employees have contributed their time on volunteer basis. Meanwhile, 500 hospital beds are being prepared with the support of the youth in Gampola, Dolua area. Minister Nama Rajapaksa inspected the production process today.
And in more local news, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed a presidential task force to transform Sri Lanka's economy into a green socio-economic model with sustainable solutions to climate change. The task force has been named as the Presidential Task Force on Creating a Green Sri Lanka with Sustainable Solutions for Climate Change. The task force, chaired by Basil Rajapaksa, the special representative of the President, consists of 46 members, including 5 cabinet ministers, a governor, 14 state ministers and a female member of parliament. The members of the task force are Ministers C.B. Ratnayaka, Chamal Rajapaksa, Mahinda Amaravira, Mahindananda Alutgamage and Ramesh Patirana. Governor Anuradha Yahampath and State Ministers Duminda Disanayaka, Arundika Fernando, Roshan Ranasinghe, Kanaka Herath, Janaka Vakkumura, Mohan De Silva, Wimalavira Disanayaka, Kanchana Vijayasekara, S. Vielandaran, D.B. Herath, Shashindra Rajapaksa, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, Sita Arambepula and Channa Jayasumana are also part of the newly appointed task force. MP Manjula Disanayaka has also been appointed to the task force. The Cabinet approved the overall policy framework and proposals contained in the Cabinet Memorandum submitted by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 27th of April to transform Sri Lanka towards a green socio-economic model with sustainable solutions for climate change. The President has received a resounding mandate to overcome the challenges in the areas of biodiversity, use of fertilizer, land atmosphere, waste disposal, industries, renewable energy, settlements and urbanization, and environmental education, as emphasized in the Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor policy framework. At present, state funds are being spent in large amounts for chemical fertilizer, herbicides and pesticides. People are losing their livelihoods and their health is deteriorating due to the diseases caused by polluted rivers, lakes, sluices and soil pollution. Difficulties in obtaining non-toxic foods are also increasing. The Presidential Task Force has been appointed with the task of meeting a number of eco-friendly objectives, including saving foreign exchange outflows within the country, enabling the country to achieve a high advantage in the emerging global economic pattern, and preparing the people for an eco-friendly socio-economic model. The task force has a responsibility to pay special attention to 24 other issues in relation to environmental protection. Another main responsibility of the task force is to prepare a roadmap for the complete transition from chemical farming to organic farming using organic fertilizer products instead of chemical fertilizers, pesticides and herbicides. The President has directed the task force to coordinate with the Task Force on Economic Revival and Poverty Eradication and the Task Force for dialogue with the village on rural development.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa inquired into the well-being of former President and present Speaker of the Maldives, Mohammad Nasheed, today. The Prime Minister made this inquiry over a telephone conversation with his father, Abdul Sattar. Maldivian Speaker Mohammad Nasheed is currently receiving ICU treatment in a Maldivian hospital following a recent bomb attack. Speaker Nasheed sustained multiple injuries following a bomb attack which was carried outside his residence while he was walking towards his vehicle. Over his telephone conversation with Speaker Nasheed's father, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has offered assistance for the recovery of the former president. Speaker Mohammad Nasheed held the presidency of Maldives during Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa's presidential tenure. He is considered as a state leader who had committed to enhance bilateral cooperation between Sri Lanka and the Maldives.
The attention of the government has been directed on the accelerated preparation of a master plan for the sustainable usage and conservation of the Muthurajavilla wetland zone. The Sri Lanka Land Development Corporation will be vested with the responsibility of taking necessary action for the sustainable usage of the Muthurajavilla ecosystem as a wetland. The area identified under the master plan as areas to be conserved will be declared as national reserves under the Fauna and Flora Ordinance. The cabinet approval has been granted to declare the Muthurajavilla wetland area as a Ramsar wetland. The Cabinet of Ministers also granted approval to obtain an amount of $200 million, which is the third installment of the agreed sum of $900 million from the Asian Development Bank to finance the second consolidated highway investment program. Accordingly, 3,400 kilometers of rural access roads will be renovated and maintained under the program. The entire project is expected to be completed on the 31st of March in 2027. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to charge only 50% of the annual tender deposits with the aim to further strengthen the interprovincial bus transportation services. The Cabinet paper has also proposed to charge only 50% of the expressway temporary permit charges. The proposed concessions granted until the 31st of March has been extended until the 31st of September. Co-Cabinet spokesman Minister Udaya Gammanpilla and Director General of the Department of Government Information Mohan Samarnayaka were present at the Cabinet briefing today. Minister Udaya Gammanpilla, addressing the briefing, said that the government has shouldered the responsibility to manage the economy while controlling the outbreak of COVID-19 in the country. Minister Udaya Gammanpilla highlighted that the government's policy is that the movement will be restricted without causing any inconvenience to essential services, export-oriented industries and sectors including agriculture and the fisheries. Therefore, these sectors will be operative amidst travel restrictions. In addition, he mentioned the discussions have not yet been held to decide in detail on how to implement the restrictions as it is at the experimental stage. However, in most of the cases, the authorities will consider case by case and determine on the functionalities of the relevant services without making a blanket policy for the entire country and all sectors at once.
Mr. Jayampati Bandaraheen has been appointed as the new chairman of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. He assumed in his duties this morning. The newly appointed chairman, Jampati Bandarahinkenda, was the chairman of State Printing Corporation during 2010 to 2015. He is also the present chairman of the National Language Education and Training Institute and a director of the State Printing Corporation. The chanting of the Ratana Sutra, organized to invoke blessings for the protection of the nation from the COVID-19 crisis by the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, was held today. Chairman of the corporation, Jampati Bandarahinkenda, and Director General Chandrapala Liyanage were present at this occasion.
The National Television's Guru Gedara educational series will telecast on Channel I and the Netra channel from 4:30 AM till 12:30 midnight. Well, that's a wrap on tonight's Rupavahini English News. Join us once again tomorrow at the same time. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Good night.